This is the CW Spiral, a podcast run by three survivors of the CW's colon in 2022. We're your hosts, Sabrina Reed,
Michael Patterson,
and Reed Gaudens,
bringing you history about the network and the WB, the latest news and in-depth Sporterville discussions of the best and messiest shows to ever grace the small screen. So I feel like we're finally getting the pod started on CW things. It's like a CW heavy pod for the first time. And it feels like a very long time in terms of being able to talk about a show, talk about news that's important to us and not us just keeping y'all updated. But I guess we should start with the rebranding of the CW, which I mean, to be fair, it is, but kind of not. I mean, we gussied up the logo and we gave it a hot new color. That's
yeah,
where we
they
are.
want us to believe it's like a hard launch, but it's giving soft launch.
like, didn't we spot this logo on the wildcard trailer a couple of weeks ago? I mean, it's nice to look at, but apart from the dropping of the, it's not all that different, is it?
Yeah, so if you don't know, they deleted the from the logo, the CW logo, so it's no longer in its cute little cubby in the sea. And they just have like an orange color now.
It's called hot sauce, which is kind of cute. I feel like it kind of pairs well with wild cards in that way. But
The wild card art is orange.
mhm,
Maybe they were inspired. I don't know.
perhaps I just feel I don't feel anything about it. I mean, it's nice. It's kind of like when they just decide to revamp a logo and they don't tell you anything about it, and you're like, "Oh, this is nice," right? But
Yeah.
they told us about this one, and they made sure everyone knew we were in once again a new era for the CW.
Yeah, the new CW.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, she's cute.
Yeah. Tepid on the color scheme, tepid on the logo, tepid on, I mean, jumping off of the colors. They have like the orange logo and then like different backgrounds, which I'm not sure like when they decide when they're going to use the mint green or there's like a dark blue and a
Oh,
pink.
oh, right.
Mhm.
The pink is interesting. I'm not sure if the pink with the orange is really going well, at least not for my eyes, but perhaps other people are enjoying that color combination.
Maybe. I do like the stage,
That's a nice
which yeah,
idea.
you have to see in the video where they like expand the CW to where
Mhm.
it's like a I'm not gonna say stage because it really is not giving stage, but I like the cute name. It's just like a little bar with like parentheses. And what do they put in it? I don't know. Words?
So words, so like it'll open, I think they did it for wild cards where it said CW and then it opens and it says CW original in it. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that's nice. It to me kind of gives scroll, like we just
Yeah.
opening an old scroll. I think it'll be interesting when they decide to put more than perhaps like a line in there. If there's information. I kind of want it to work like a pop-up video where like when you're watch their versions of episodes where the CW will pop up, the logo will pop up, and then it'll unscroll and it'll give you a fun
Mhm.
fact. Like I think that would be
Hmm.
very cute. I'm sure they'll use it for advertisement when they don't have to put so much information. For wild cards when it aired, the advertisement for the college basketball games did not come on the stage. It came to the left with a faded basketball imprint and then a bunch of information. It was a bumper that was not that attractive. So I wonder as we keep going forward whether or not we'll get better with those since the CW doesn't tend to do them outside of their shows.
So wait, is the stage only being used in promotional materials or is it gonna like the logo in the corner of the screen? Are they gonna use the stage that way?
I think at some point they might use the stage that way. I feel like
Because that
that
would
would,
be nice to put like the show's title in or like I feel like as a society we've evolved past the need for the little advertisements above the logo that says like it's advertising a show that's on like 3 nights
Yeah.
away. It's like, who is that swaying? It's in the way. Get it out of here. I don't know why they need that. If you like it, I love that for you. I've never really, it's distracting to me. But it would be nice if they used the stage like in the middle of a scene it all of a sudden expands and it's like, boop, watch Walker on Thursday at 4. That's not a time or a date that Walker's actually on, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and then it goes away. And like, I don't know. I think it would be a fun thing to watch the CW logo open and
Mhm.
present information and then close back up.
It would be more eye-catching than just the typical one sitting there the whole time.
And it's
It would
faded. It's like,
be.
what does that say? No
Yeah.
one knows.
Though to take a note from our music pod, they could bring us back to the 2000s and have it open when a song drops,
Love
just in
that.
case people
Mm.
don't know.
Oh, we don't do that anymore. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Mo, you have been note taking rather well and
I
getting things
mean,
done.
once
So
again, we're expanding upon their ideas and giving them good ones for free. I don't know.
bring us into consult, please.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've only been begging since what, 2022?
Yeah. But it's true though. I mean, it just feels like as consumers of the network and people who talk about it and think about the CW a lot
Mhm.
from a
And see
viewer
what other
perspective.
networks do well and poorly.
Mhm.
Just, food for thought.
I know. For instance, crib off of CBS. They're the ones to be looking at
Mhm.
CW. They've
Mhm.
got it on lock. They truly do.
Yeah.
But moving to something that happened at this point is probably about 2 weeks ago, but James Gunn had liked a tweet about Superman and Lois coming back, which then had us wanting to manifest a retrospective, since if he's going to pay attention to it, we want some money thrown at the show so that we can get a nice little sit down with the cast.
It does feel like the lines have been blurred, and I guess that's one of the good things about this DC Universe era, because you never hear the movie executives talking about the TV shows. In the former DC, it was like, well, TV shows exist. We're focused on our movie universe, and I know the movie universe is going to ultimately be the death of the TV world because now they're both merging as far as DC goes. But like to see James Gunn acknowledge Superman at Lois being filmed, I think that's a good thing because he's going to relaunch the DC universe with a Superman movie, and yet we have an amazing Superman on TV. We have an amazing Lois Lane on TV, and because of everything going on at the CW, because of everything going on at Warner Brothers, that show is coming to an end, which means it's going to be the end of an era, not just of the Arrowverse offshoots, but if DC television as it was going forward, any DC shows are going to be streaming on Max, a part of the DC movie universe. So it would make sense to acknowledge the end of an era like this. We Arrow got a retrospective on the old CW, and rightfully so. It launched a whole new era, but like the Flash should have got one, Riverdale should have got one, heck, even Supergirl should have got one, even though it ended before the whole cancellation period started. So it would be awesome if we finally could acknowledge the end of this era with the retrospective that it deserves. And let's be honest, Superman at Lois its name has come up in conversations that don't necessarily revolve around the genre because of the kind of hard hitting and thought provoking stuff it does and the storylines it tackles. I would love a retrospective for the show. It deserves it, and especially as it's going to mark the end of a major era of the last for over a decade. Yeah, give them what they deserve.
They should get it. I also think that like CW should be celebrating the Arrowverse, and since DCTV on CW is coming to an end, to mark that era, there's been so much concentration on the CW previously not having a brand, or how they want to move away from what was previously on the network, even though it's clear that they're utilizing what was previously on the network to
Mm-hmm.
promote what's coming. Like, I don't see why we can't do a farewell to superheroes on CW and to the actors who made the channel notable. After they'd finished with the era of Gossip Girl and Vampire Diaries, Supes came in, and that was the brand. I don't really see why we didn't feel like the CW had a brand, even though its brand kept shifting. But that is another soapbox that we've gotten on so many times, so I will not pull it out. But I just feel like it is an opportunity to respect what came before while we prepare to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the CW is not going to do it, I know there's somebody our age who is a filmmaker and a fan of these shows, and I know they got a good Arrowverse documentary in them.
Mhm, for
I
sure.
don't know where it would land, but I think so many fans would love that, even if it's a book too.
Mm-hmm. There's so many stories in this universe, and it
So many
feels weird.
people, so many perspectives that we
Yeah,
haven't heard from. I
and
don't
it's
know. I
just
would
so
watch it, and
unfortunate.
I don't even like the shows.
It would just be so unfortunate for all of that to be lost to history, because I know we're moving away from the idea of superheroes on TV. We're moving away from so much of the old CW. Uh, it just, this universe burned so brightly and it made so many headlines in its heyday. It would be just awful to see it. It's been going out with a fizzle for the last 2 or 3 years because of everything going on. We produce a final season and then we move on to the next hit. The CW is looking for its next hit. It's fine, it has minor successes in that area, but it hasn't really had any kind of like juggernauts in the way that most of these shows were for the original CW. So it would just be awful to like bow out of this time period, bow out of this universe without really acknowledging the attention it brought the CW, without acknowledging how it changed the world for this genre itself. Yeah, like Reed said, so many stories in this universe to be told, and a 30-minute retrospective could tell you so many of them, never mind an hour-long retrospective. So I really don't feel like it would be that much of an undertaking to do, and it's the least this universe deserves.
Just to quickly backtrack, I want to clarify. When I say I don't like the shows, it doesn't mean I hate them.
I know.
When I say I don't like them, I mean I didn't watch them.
Yeah.
I forget that not everybody knows my thoughts the way that you guys do.
We get you.
We do, because Michael and I were just blank with it. We know exactly what you mean. I do, to take this conversation, but also make a note to the Television Academy. This is your last chance to respect the work that Bitsy Tulloch has done on Superman and Lois. So please, I mean, I feel like if the Superman and Lois was on Max, it might have gotten some Emmy love. I do. And I just feel like it's
At least for like special effects.
I know. I just feel like the acting was is like top tier, and so has the special effects and the storytelling. Like, did I necessarily expect them to win an Emmy? No, but I also think the acknowledgement of the work that has just been so fantastic should be there.
Oh, without a doubt. I know what you mean. It was frustrating going through the award season and just knowing that the show wasn't going to get the attention it deserved. It's broke boundaries as far as what it can do in the special effects realm and the performances realm and the storylines realm, and where we just have to get used to the fact that these shows don't get that kind of love. But like, you're right, if it was on a streaming service, it would have been thrown into more of those conversations. If it was on a cable network, it would have been thrown into more of those conversations. Heck, if it was 10 years ago on network TV, it might have been thrown into those conversations, because it definitely has that family drama, This Is Us, Smallville-esque kind of appeal to it, Friday Night Lights. So it definitely would have been in those conversations, whether it got the nominations or not. But like, it just feels like we're so far away from that era now that it's never going to get that kind of acknowledgement. But you're right, Sabrina, it has one more chance to make it happen. And after the work Bitsy Tulloch delivered last season, it was a shame that no one bothered considering this show, because it definitely deserved that. So I would love that. That would be a nice way to go out, wouldn't it? With some of that kind of award attention, because this show definitely deserves it.
I'm so sick of the superhero stigma and the CW stigma. It's like, can't we move past that?
I know. I mean, because the only that I can remember, the two shows in recent history for the CW, and it's not even that much of recent history, that have gotten attention is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Jane the Virgin. Well deserved, truly. But there have also been shows that came before and after that deserved it as well. And I just feel like to pretend as if it has to be completely genre breaking in order for it to be getting like awards recognition is not fair, because that's not the standard to which the other television shows are held to.
And I can't, every time I see someone say like, oh, it's on the CW, like that, it just happened last night. I saw it last night. I was like, what? Like, what is it? Like, you didn't watch it, so how do you know it's bad? It doesn't matter where it's airing. Doesn't mean just because it's airing on this doesn't mean it's bad. It's like, I know people are watching stuff from the most random places and calling it great. And I'm like, so why is it different for the CW? Again, this is a soapbox we don't need to pull out, but it's just like, come on. Like, the hypocrisy is just, it's alive and well. I'll say that much.
It is. I mean, it really is. And I just don't, perhaps one of the things that we might have to adjust to, so I want to prepare us now, is that as they rebrand and the audience broadens, and more people begin to sit down, we might start entering into eras which we're like, wow, I guess the CW wasn't that bad, or the CW was in its banging era, and we're like, are you new?
Yeah. Or like someone's gonna say, "Oh, this is good for the CW." For the what? As if they hadn't been making quality content for its entire run. Okay, thank
I
you.
know. Right. Like, we're gonna have to hold tight. We're gonna have to be strong because it's gonna be a lot. I can feel it in my spirit as we move through this year and they continue to expand the roster.
They tell you if Joan gets awards buzz, it's going to be intolerable on Twitter. Be like, oh, this is good for the CW. I'm like, where have you been the last 16 years?
Oh, the
I
mute
know.
button's gonna get a workout
Oh
on
yeah.
that day.
Our last piece of news is exciting in the sense that the CW may be getting back into business with Netflix. It really just depends on if this is a one-off deal or if it's something that we might be able to expect down the line. But for those who love football and have actually been watching the sports programming on the CW, Inside the NFL is going to be streaming on Netflix. I think it already started. I think the first episode dropped yesterday. What they're doing is that they're going to be releasing the last 5 episodes of the program each week because they're covering the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Um, I think that will bring a new audience to Inside the NFL, which has been doing solid for the CW in terms of its numbers, but obviously, given how long the program has been an institution within the sports industry, those aren't the number. Like, I think they're around 300,000 plus viewers each week, which are not the numbers that a program of that prestige wants. So the Netflix deal makes sense. I'm just hoping, though, for scripted content, this means that we might be back in business.
Yeah, I'm curious if this is um a deal that comes from the CW or the NFL, like who wanted more eyeballs on this show. Either way, it's mutually beneficial. It's, I feel like, a win-win for the CW and the NFL. Unless people just watch it on Netflix and then don't go to the CW for the next season. Just thinking out loud here. But yeah, I hope that they realize more eyeballs on shows, no matter what, is good.
Mhm.
Period. I don't know.
We've been waiting for so long for them to do a Netflix deal again, or the CW at least. And this is not what I expected. But I mean, like Reed said, we don't know whether it was the NFL or the CW. But irrespective of that, it could start a new era for them if they wanted to. I know Next Star seems to be more about getting numbers on the night, watching scripted content on a weekly basis. But we're living in a streaming world now. We're no longer moving into a streaming world. Streaming dominates this world, and it's the reason that the CW shows like Riverdale and Dynasty became the phenomenons that they are. It's the reasons why shows like The Flash outside of the US became the phenomenons that they are. So it would make sense. Honestly, it makes sense to get more eyeballs on your content regardless. Look how well Riverdale season 2 did after the first season dropped on Netflix. That huge surge in viewership because more people knew what it was. So we're not no longer in that era where that will translate as cleanly as that did. But hey, if people watch this series of Inside the NFL on Netflix and then some of them transfer back over to the CW for the next one, makes total sense. It's a win. It's a win worth taking at this point.
I'm hoping we're realizing that gatekeeping was not the move.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I think what's different too about it is that the show is still going to air on the CW. So it'll continue to air its episodes on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. It's just on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll be able to watch it if you weren't able to catch it on the CW. And I don't know whether or not that means that you can't watch the episodes on the CW app and CWTV.com anymore. Didn't read like Netflix had an exclusive streaming deal with them. That is just a licensing deal, but I don't know. I'm intrigued by it because if they do that for this unscripted program, I wonder if they might consider when it comes to a new show doing what they do for international audiences when they for Riverdale, where it would play in the US and then it would land on Netflix the next day. Internationally. Obviously not for those in the US. We were roughing it with the commercials on the CW app. But I just feel like it'd be interesting if they decide to do that.
I'm on my hands and knees pleading for Wild Cards to be on Netflix this summer.
I know. I
They should
hope
do
so.
that. Yeah, I think that'd be good. Like capital CW is capitalizing off that Riverdale audience. Like let Netflix internationally do the same.
The two stars are in two of the most popular shows on Netflix, like acquired shows. It's like you see their faces and you're like, oh, I'll click. Boom,
Right.
hit
Hmm.
show. I'm again, free ideas.
I know. And like Jacqueline and Vanessa deserve, like Vanessa Reed, when you drop that tweet about her being on the talk, like that it's coming
You
together.
heard it here first. CW Spiral manifestation exclusive.
It's just, it's what we need. I feel like this is the best way to go to hop in the car and go to Vancouver for wild cards. We finally get to talk about it with spoilers. If you have not watched, it is streaming on the CW app. Go get your life. I mean, it is impeccable and it's fun. And Vanessa can, truly shines. I laughed at everything and I'd already seen the episode last.
Same.
So good. Like that opening scene, for example, like as soon as it started, and again, it's like Sabrina, it's my second time watching it. As soon as it started, just the smile that appears across your face. She's so in her element, loving life, living their best life. And Max is such a like energetic character, and she just captures your attention right from the beginning. And oh, that smile never left my face throughout the whole episode.
She's just infectious.
Hmm.
She is.
So good.
The jokes land. I think what makes it great too is that it is the kind of television that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I'm watching someone's pretentious dream unfold. I mean, I love a good prestige drama. I
Yeah.
love high intellectual shows, but they are not the end all and be all of television. And I think there's just says something about a blue sky drama
Yeah,
that truly just its own.
you gotta also know like what you're making because there are moments in this episode that get a little bit heavier, like when they have their heart to heart about his brother, or what's the there's another one. Or even like the resolution of the mystery. They still know what show they're making. It's not all of a sudden we're all like, okay, let's all collectively go for the Emmy. Because
Mhm.
there's sometimes there's those shows where it's like they do a little too much.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And like that's, I mean, I can't fault them. You got to do what you got to do, but also it's like just kind of know what the tone is. And it really, Wild Cards really walks that line really well, where they're not going too maudlin, but they can hit those emotional beats in a way that is fitting to this genre.
Hmm. They know exactly what kind of show they want to make, and I think that's why it works so well. Like it's giving like 90s buddy comedy kind of action movie, but at the same time with like the glossiness of network TV, and it comes together really well. Like we've seen this concept of the two reluctant partners recycled in so many different genres, and the ones that make a more serious tale know well that's what they want to do. But since it's such a fun concept, I don't think that often comes across in those programs or those movies. Whereas with this one, this really like really leans into how silly the concept is. And you're right, Sabrina. We said unserious so many times in a review of the pilot, or spoiler-free review of the pilot. It was like take a drink every time someone says unserious, because honestly, that's exactly what the show is, and it
And it's
knows
not a
what it
bad
wants to be.
thing.
It's not,
Mm.
and I think it owns it so well. And to go off Reed's point, I agree. There are so much. There is the show itself tackles some heavier themes throughout its pilot episode, but it never like loses identity of what it is. It never like loses sight of what genre or whatever tone it wants to go into. It could fall off by having like the murder, for example, be taken far more seriously, but it never lost that kind of tongue-in-cheek tone, which is why the buddy cop movies of the 90s worked and is why this show works so well. Like, for example, not to get ahead of ourselves, when Alice was unraveling the murder at the end of the episode. And Max was like, "Oh, this is the best part. Oh no, wait, this is the best part." Real serious subject matter, yet you're giggling the whole way through it because the show knows exactly what it wants to be.
I laughed when she referenced the book Emma and she's like, I didn't know that. I'm not that good. I had to look it up. But Sabrina, do you remember that line in Abbott Elementary when Ava says, "It's tough times out here. People need the laughs."
Yes,
That's
yes, it's so great.
that's like my review of Wild Cards.
It's accurate though, because I feel like it could have been another procedural that we're all kind of used to, where it's gritty. We're here, we're making social commentary, we're sitting down to talk about like the ways in which things are going to crap, right? Like wherever we are. And instead it's like, yeah, there's murder happening, but also let's have Max going through disguises and accents as we try to solve things. Let's have her being absolutely ridiculous. And then when it's important, we'll slow down and she'll be serious. Because I feel like
Mhm.
whenever Ellis is opening up, all the joking goes to the side for the most part. And she really is just trying to see like what's going on here. She was genuine in the police station when she asked him why all of his coworkers rag on him. She like
Mhm.
noticed and she was like, what's happening here? And he didn't want to talk to her, but that's something she seems to be a person who checks in a lot. Like, what was
Mhm.
that about? What are we doing? Like, or on the boat when she asks about the kids that he clearly has a fondness for. And she gets the information about his brother. I think those little moments are some of the best in the show outside of the comedy because it just reminds you that they're people and they have lives outside of each other and they have pasts and we really want to know what happened in those pasts and how it informs them today in their work and how they move around in the world. Like I'm really intrigued by how many people Max knows around Vancouver and which ones are is she in trouble with and which ones are like people she goes to regularly when she needs to con somebody.
I love that in these kinds of shows where like the lead just has like she knows a guy. She knows so many guys. I'm so excited to get like a recurring character of like apart from her dad of just like some random guy that she always uses who's like her go-to and will always bail her out, keep her secrets. I'm like, where's the I know she has one. Where is he?
And that expertise gives it kind of like like it feels like kind of procedural TV of the mid 2000s, late 2000s, when like it would give every episode its own unique kind of flavor. And that's one thing I'm really excited about with Wild Cards because this is one of those shows where we know there's an overarching story, but I'm every bit as interested in, oh, what are we getting up to this week? What are we getting up to this week? Just because of the tone of the show. And you're right, because Max knows so many people, it could like lend itself. One episode could be completely different from the next. And I think that'll probably lean itself right into finding out more about who she is as a person. I completely agree with what you're saying, Sabrina, in that you get to see more of how genuine she is quite early on. Like we're not this concept in the past has been like the hero doesn't get on with the villain of the post because they're villainous. Whereas quite early on, even though she's committed crimes per se, so to speak, we still see that she's a very genuine person. I know there are secrets coming up, and the ending tag definitely teased that. I think they're definitely luring us into a false sense of security. So they got that out of the way quickly, only to like smack us over the head with it in the final few moments. We're like, wait, there's more to the story, which totally makes sense. But you can see that Max, underneath the veil, so to speak, Max is very, very genuine. She loves having a laugh and she doesn't take things very seriously. But like when she's called out on it, like when Alice said to her, "This isn't a game," you could see in her face she was well aware of the fact that it wasn't a game. She's in this for more important reasons than what the concept dictates. Yeah, she's having the time of her life and she's doing it to stay out of jail and stay free, so to speak. But as it goes on, I think we're going to learn that there's more to it than that. And I also think, like you said, as we meet more people in her life, we'll also learn that there's more to her than that. And I think that's very much what's going to drive her arc.
Do we think that it's all connected somehow?
The cases, the him being framed for having cocaine and then whatever going on with her dad.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
the
feel
only
like there's some overlap.
I feel so like that too, and I'm trying to remind myself this is not a CBS procedural drama. So the likelihood of her dad somehow being responsible for his brother's murder is not, it's probably very low, but that is my fear.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that's gonna be like a season-ending wedge. Hopefully not. Hopefully those two things are separate, but I
Do
don't
we
know.
know what George is in jail for?
Not yet, I don't believe.
Okay. He doesn't seem like a dangerous guy. He seems like a good guy.
He seems really nice, doesn't he? Considering
Yeah.
his reputation preceded him. Um, I agree. That's the weird thing. When you watch something a second time and you can see all the hints that they planted, you're like, should have seen that the first time. It was only when Alice had that moment where he spoke about what happened to his brother in his past. I was like, is this one of those moments when we reach the end of the season? I'm going to look back and was like, should have picked up on something there. So you're wondering, is it a genuine heart to heart between the two, or was that them seeding some information that, like Reed said, the overall arc it relates to it? it's going to be interesting because it obviously Max's dad was able to get more information about Alice. And you're like, are we just supposed to buy that he was able to get more information about Alice because he's this like almighty like prison lord who has all these connections, or was there a reason for it?
Who knows?
Who knows? I think what was interesting though about that being the last shot was that before that, we got so much character development in Ellis simply going through the stages of what was going on in the crime that Max committed. Like both, it was an interesting scene because I felt like it showed both of their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Like he took the time while working another case to help her, and then they all got to learn she was actually helping a woman escape servitude. Like she was being held against her will, and that was the only means of getting her to be able to leave, to be able to escape this woman who definitely deserves to be in jail. So,
See, I never doubted Max. Like, even if she was just like run of the mill, like, yeah, I'm gonna steal this woman's jewelry, I would have been like, yes, I support
same.
women's wrongs. Do what you got to do. Um, but I knew she had good intentions. And when he revealed that, I was like, yes, that's my girl. That's her.
That is funny. I feel like for me, I love Max and I trust her about 85%. And I feel like that is healthy. But like the only thing I don't want is for there to be something that would color the show more dramatically than it needs to be. But I
Yeah.
feel like I have faith that they won't do that just because of the structure of this premiere. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be a series that's going to get incredibly dark, even though there will be moments, of course, that are true to life that are dark. Like I'm
Yeah,
sure that we'll get a lot
I
of
mean, the
information about
central
that.
case of the pilot was a wife killing her, was it her brother-in-law?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were having an affair. What
Yeah.
happened?
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait, my wires crossed. Is that actually what happened?
So they were the
It's
thieves.
it's pretty dark, but I mean, like, given the tone of the show, it's like it could be darker.
It could be.
And
They
not me
played that
sweeping
from
that
us,
under the
so.
rug. It's dark, but like I don't know. The show doesn't present it as like an enormous like. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
okay. I feel like I
And
just did not make a point.
No, you
no,
did.
yeah, I know exactly what I mean. I always say that about the comparison between Arrow and the Flash. Arrow presented murder and crime as such a serious thing, whereas the Flash was like, "Oh, let's stop some metahumans in Central City this week." So it's very much the tone of the show, and I feel like that's what Wildcard is going for. Not quite as like lighthearted as the Flash, but it definitely leans into that whole like gimmicky. Oh, this is our case of the week, and yes, something serious happened, but I'm going to crack a joke about it, and y'all are going to laugh because that's the tone of the show, and yeah,
But
it
there
does it
is
so
weight
well.
to it because they linger on Max's face the way she's feeling the gravity of the moment and implications of the truth coming out about this family and
Mm-hmm.
the the tragedy that happened. I had a second point to go off of that. Oh, I lost it.
Was it
Mm.
about the moment? It starts as a joke. It's the same scene in which she says that she's not so good that she knows Emma.
No, it came back to me. It was me, my fear, and I think we talked about this. We didn't talk about it in the spoiler-free review, but my fear that in like the last minute after that reveal that we were gonna find out like the twins switched or something. Like there was gonna be like a bait and switch, a melodrama bait and switch, and I'm glad that they didn't. But that it was just part of my fear, and we share this fear of like watching so much television that we can see certain twists that could be implemented and fearing that they will be, and then being grateful that they aren't. Because it's an easy thing to be able to be like, let's do this too, but it's like let's restrain, pull back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad they let that moment be what it was.
What I'm hearing is we have trauma from
We
previous shows.
do. I
We
have
do.
I have television trust issues.
Well, I mean, but it's understandable though, because I think I'm not sure how long the dark, gritty drama era has been going on, maybe 10 years. But it really has been living with us, like even with network television. I mean, there are procedurals everywhere and they are dark. I
Mhm.
mean, they have light moments, there's levity, but not light like this. It's really
Mhm.
not. This is kind of reminding me of the early seasons of Nancy Drew
Yeah.
in terms
Mm-hmm.
of the ways in which it's like, yes, something serious is happening. Like for instance, in the first season, Tiffany Hudson was murdered, but we were laughing a lot as they
There's
were solving that
levity.
case. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
just happy about wildcards. I just think that it's good that we have this on the CW. Well, it's good that we have this on network TV, to be honest.
Yeah. Can we talk about what we couldn't talk about in the spoiler for review that I like was dancing around not
Mhm.
very well? The kiss.
Yeah.
Wow, seeing it again
Who
actually last night was a lot.
I know it just the pilot, who's doing it like this?
Nobody. I can't
No
think of a
one.
single pilot kiss between the two leads.
I
Usually we
think
do have
even
to
the
wait
CW
seasons.
tweeted like it's the first episode, and I was like, yeah, yeah, it is.
I feel it's interesting watching the reaction because that kind of caught me off guard as well. I was like, "Oh wow, we're doing it this quickly," and I'm glad we obviously have a whole season to play with this. But like the first episode's a lot. Like this isn't a show that like film the pilot. Hopefully we have everything and hope and pray to get picked up. No, this is a 10 episode season, and like it did it right in the first episode. So it's interesting watching the reaction online, and it's been pretty much the same. Everyone's been like, "Oh wow, they're doing it in the first episode. The ship is alive and well in the first episode," and I mean like after the chemistry on that moment, the way the Alice's face afterwards, the way Max even kind of lingered. I mean, like hooked, hook, line, and sinker in it. I mean,
I mean, I don't believe that it's going to be pedal to the metal,
mm-mm.
obviously, and I think we know as much from certain things that have been said. But the fact that we even got that, I don't even want to say tease because it's not a tease. Because I feel like, and I said this in the spoiler review because it was in the trailer, the electric moment of them seeing each other for the first time, like that would have been enough for me to be like, yep, that's the couple. Even if that didn't happen, it's just like the chemistry and the way the show is set up. It's like inherent that this
Mhm.
is somehow going to end up romantic. Um, but the fact that we got it. Like I feel like it's a culmination of everything that we've been saying is just like don't waste time. And sometimes it's a double-edged sword because sometimes shows don't waste time, but it happens in an unfair way where it feels like it's not organic to the plot. It just feels like we're doing too much too soon. This felt so organic and like it didn't feel out of place to me. Maybe other
Mm-mm.
people might feel it was out of place, but to me it just felt it just felt like another layer of Ellis seeing her differently. I don't know. It worked so well and more pilot kisses. I don't know. That's my that's the platform I'm going to run on for the presidency on.
What I think though that works so well is too that, like you said, we're not wasting time for one, but for two, this is not a show in which like the two leads have fire chemistry, but one of them is already in a relationship,
Mhm.
which is typical on television for a lot of shows where they have male and female leads where you're like, now we know you're putting those two together, but now we have to wait for someone to get divorced or for the spouse to cheat or for them to die. Like it
Like
just
Tarzan, Michael falling off the
Yeah.
roof.
I know. So it's a mix of like you know it's going to be like a really slow burn, but then you're also like, I feel bad for this character because they really are
Mhm.
only here to be the obstacle.
Yeah, and there's always that in a longer running show, there's that one season where maybe the couple is dated or maybe the Will There Won't They is taking a long pause because one of the characters is in a committed long-term relationship for a whole season, like Lorelai and Digger, season 4 Gilmore Girls, Zoe and that random author in season 3 of Heart of Dixie. It's like like it's fine for what it is, like it's television, I'll watch it, but like I'm not rooting for them like because I know it's gonna end.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So it just feels like that kind of like purgatory season of you're like, okay, we're here, it's fine, but like we know it's not happening. I do feel like, and I think it would be interesting if maybe like for one of the cases or like randomly, and I feel like it could happen like one of Alex's like exes or maybe he had an ex-fiance or something comes up and Max feels some kind of way about it. I don't know. I feel like that could be interesting. Um, I really don't see in this 10 episode season either of them getting in a relationship after that. It just doesn't seem the track that they're going on, but who knows? We could be wrong.
No. I mean, not a relationship. I could see one of them getting put on a date for whatever
Hmm.
reason. Or like, honestly, I feel like this show could be very trope heavy. And the fun ones though, right? Like, we have to share a bed. Someone mentioned that on Twitter that there's
See, I I think, didn't we say this too? Tropes are good if executed properly. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
that's a fine line to walk, but so far so good.
Yeah, I mean, they already did. We had to pretend to be a couple, and it worked. That's how
Yeah.
you get the kiss. Like,
I
I
mean,
feel
the flip
like,
side, Max maybe has to pretend to be a couple with somebody else they're working a case on, and Ellis is jealous.
mhm.
Love that. I love
And that's the thing
I
with
know
a
the
show
season
like
is
this.
filmed, but like ideas.
Listen, the moles listening. And I think that's the beauty of a show like this. And that's the thing. It's kind of dropped a lot of the shackles that would hold a show like this back, like being in a relationship with a character who's nothing but an obstacle to the plot. But the fact that like when you have this kind of concept where there are like two agents or having to act as a different role every single week, we saw it in the likes of Legends of Tomorrow or something else like that. But when you have something like this, we could have saved that plot for two or three episodes down the line, four or five, maybe when they got to know each other better. But no, we have them having to have that kiss right out of the gate, and I think it's made us all sit up and pay attention, isn't it? Like if they're doing this in the first episode, what are they going to do next? And agreed, the one when you said that they could bring in more of the like familiar tropes that would be welcomed, I could definitely see like Ellis having to pretend to be on a date with someone to get some information and him being the awkward one, not knowing what to do, it, Max in the corner, like, you're doing great. And then when he does do great, she starts getting jealous and feeling a certain way about it, or vice versa, as Reed suggested as well. So
What
I
if
feel
she's
like,
like pretending to be the waitress on the date and then she's like, oops, I spilled the wine.
Yes.
it's like there's no shackles here. We have 10 episodes of just pure unadulterated fun, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
My other
Yeah.
favorite part of the kiss is like that subtle moment after when they both appear to have a realization, but then they just like, no time, we gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it was the correct amount of time to linger on them without whacking us over the face. Like they like each other. It's like we got it. We saw.
Yeah. And it said a lot about their characters as well, because Max is the one that's known for like she knows the game, she knows how to do it, but she was a little taken aback by it. As in like, oh wow, I felt that out, but then instantly she was like, right, back to it, which showed how committed she was to the role. But then Ellis, who's the one who's been committed the whole time, he kind of just lingered after her for a couple of seconds. So
Like,
I feel
what
like that
was
was
that about?
exactly
His
a
world
moment
was
of realization.
shook.
Yeah, yeah.
That was some great acting between the both of them. In the interview with Giacomo, he had mentioned though that we're gonna pump the brakes.
Okay, see, I did carefully
Mhm.
refer to that. I didn't know if that was included in your interview.
Yeah,
So
it was.
I was like, let me not tag that he said that in case Sabrina doesn't want that out in the world.
Oh no, it's fine. No, we didn't cut anything, so it's good.
Okay, cool. I was not sure what made the final cut.
But they, but yeah, he said we're pumping the brakes. Not that they won't feel the connection between the two of them, but as far as them sort of sorting through their romantic feelings, that's not happening. It's very conceal, don't feel, but since they're both terrible at that, it's gonna be fun to see them
I feel
work it
like it's the
out.
classic will they, won't they push pull.
Hmm. But they definitely will. Like that's the thing that's so great about watching this show is you can feel that. It's like
It's just
reading a
how and
rom-com
when.
or watching it. Yeah. We know the happily ever after is happening. We just don't know when it's coming.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So excited for that. Like really excited for that because that means that the flirting is going to be impeccable.
Yes. Yes. I'm,
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm so excited that we can finally like talk about
I
the
know.
show in its full form.
Which is, I think, what we're each week we're gonna eat, not just between them as like with the ship that we're definitely on, but also with the cases. I'm excited for a case of the week style show, especially because we do know that it is going to be set all over Vancouver. So we will
Mhm.
be outdoors. We will be like we can expect Max to be trying on different disguises and for Alice to be exasperated and them to be solving the cases together. I think it's going to be fun because sometimes procedurals can get a little rote, but with these two dynamic characters, seeing them switch up their dynamic each episode is going to be great.
And we got the real star of the show, Jonesy,
Yeah.
Yes,
as Mark.
yes. There's Mark, who has an answer for everything. I love that little love muffin is in
He's
every
like so
episode.
fluffy, but also kind of looks like an alien. He's just so cute. Like I
Right?
want to see him involved in a case. Like I want him to like be I want him to help on one of the cases. I think it would be so cute and funny. Like we just don't
Right?
have animal sidekicks on TV anymore. That's another thing I love about the show that feels so like heartwarming and nostalgic is like there's an animal sidekick. There used to be like a dog or cat in like every show in the 90s when we were growing up. Why did we get rid of that? I mean, I'm sure there's probably valid reasons about like having animals on set, but Jonesy seems to be, I mean, he steals the spotlight.
He does. And he
He
does sneak
deserves to
into
be
the
number
police
one on the
car.
call sheet.
I
I'm just
mean,
kidding.
the luxury this cat probably has, though, of just like he can do whatever he wants, but he does. Mark does sneak into the police cruiser, so I'm assuming that there will be an episode in which he does that again, and they're like, Mark, you cannot help us solve the murder.
I want to see him in like a cute little like police vest too.
Was he in a life jacket on the boat in one of the
I think
in
he
the pilot?
was.
Yeah.
I want to see his wardrobe.
Oh God, I really do think. I wonder though. I mean, I'm sure it'll just be Mark because Mark is actually part of the talent section on the press site. But I actually kind of would like to see other animal companions too. I'd love to see a canine
Yeah.
walking around. And perhaps there's a little backstory about how Mark doesn't like that dog.
Subplot. We need it.
Yes, the adventures of Mark and whatever that canine's name is. But to go back to the casework though, how did y'all feel about the way that they handled it
Like narratively or like
narratively?
story? I thought it was great.
Hmm.
I mean, in the spoiler free review, I kind of explained how I felt without being able to reveal the spoilers, which is like, and it's no fault of the show. Again, it's me. Like sometimes like there's that third or fourth twist and I'm kind of like lose track of what's happening. But for the most part, um, I think procedurals do a great job of like explaining in the end like how everything ended up the way it was. There's always like that twist that's like, okay, that's not really important. You know
Hmm.
what
Yeah.
I mean?
I know.
Like I don't really need to bank that in the brain. Like I can just catch up with you when you hit the ending. Um, but I was entertained the whole time. Each twist and turn. I love when she walked into that room, like she owned the place, and the twins were like, "Oh, not you." Like I also could not have guessed where it was going. Also,
Yeah. And that's the thing. It was firing on all cylinders the longer the episode went on, which is when you kind of expect it to start slowing down and like paying more attention to the plot. But it never overwhelmed the show. I don't know whether it's just this show's got such a good balance of tone, of storyline, and the case of the week was at the forefront of it the whole time, and it never like took away from the other stories that was going on. And I know maybe that's just down to how well the show balances its tone because it never lets the serious part of it get too serious. But like at the end there, they revealed a lot of information through dialogue, but because it was such a quirky kind of tone, and the actors did it so well, it never felt like you were just being exposited information. It all came across so well. And yeah, it was a complex twist, like Reed said, lots of twists
yeah,
and turns, but it never felt overwhelming, if you know what I mean. And I think that's the thing that the show did so well. And if it
yeah.
wants to continue doing that for its remaining 9 episodes of season one, I'm all for it.
I don't want to be overly complimentary, but I feel like we have to remember that, like this is a pilot and it had so much to do. Like we had to get to know these two characters, the dynamic. It had to set up like point A, point B of them like suddenly working together while also juggling a case which on some shows could have been a season-long arc. So it's like they accomplished a lot in this time, which I think we also said previously. Um, but it just did so seamlessly. Like the focus was so like Michael said balanced between like getting to know Max and Ellis, getting to know their dynamic, getting to know backstories, while also unraveling this mystery, which who knows if it'll still be relevant to the plot next week. Who knows if it'll carry over at all. But yeah, I think it was I don't know how they did it. I would never be able to write an episode of television like this, especially not a pilot. Are you kidding me?
I loved it because it's a cozy mystery. Like, yes, there's
Mhm.
murder, but it also felt like the type of procedural opener where if you had to tune out for a moment and you came back in, it's fine. Like it doesn't feel like it takes all of your brain power necessarily to like enjoy it. Like whether you decided to try to solve along or you were just gonna let them figure it out, it just felt like something you could sit in and
Mhm.
enjoy and still feel like you're getting a real case. and not something that's just slapdash in the episode, which was something that we had kind of felt about Tarzan. There were cases that were meaty, and then there were cases that we were like
super thin,
and we were like, we spent the whole episode acting as if we were really getting down to business. And I felt like Wild Cards did get down to business, but also gave us the ability to learn about these characters. Like,
I mean,
and
Ellis
seed
got
information
hit
to
over
other
the
things.
head. We were
He
concerned about
did.
his safety in this episode. Like, I gasped and I was like, I've only known this man for 30 minutes.
I mean, that just shows how well, though, that they did. The
Effective.
investment is there. It's very effective. And they seeded two separate mysteries.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
three, right? We don't know who murdered his brother or if we will ever learn that. We don't know who framed him by placing cocaine in his car, and we have actually no idea what Max is doing.
Yeah, we don't know her real thing. I don't think she's gonna double cross him.
No, but I want to know what she's doing to get closer to, not necessarily closer to him. It just seems like this worked out in her favor. I don't think she had any plans on actually using a connection with Ellis in order to get what she
Yeah.
wants. But it is interesting also because there's a press photo of Jason Priestley in a suit. And I'm trying to figure out whether or not that's past or we're going to see this man in court.
Ooh. They rope him into one of their cases of the week. Wouldn't that be fun?
I know he's got like an ankle monitor on. I think he has to behave on the streets of Vancouver.
In this show, anything can happen. But yeah,
see, I that was a thing. She didn't have an ankle monitor.
Mm-mm.
They were just like, yeah, go ahead and work with this man. I was like, wait, is she a flight risk? What's happening? I was like, I don't understand Canadian law, apparently. I don't know.
They're like, you go home now, don't you leave. But
I
you
mean,
can go
from
home.
what I've seen in American shows, it's like white collar, like they had that man on a leash pretty much. Like he could not move through New York or he would be busted. So I was like, that's what I was going on. I was like, oh, they just let her walk out and go back to this random mansion. Cool. Fine. I don't know. I guess they trust her.
Like, I know she didn't commit as serious a crime as some of the crimes that come up in the episode, but you're like, yeah, do you not need to monitor what this woman's up to?
It seemed like they were throwing the book at her in the beginning. So I
Right.
was like, what's happening?
Michael, I believe you were about to say something though.
Oh yes, the tag at the end. Sabrina, you said you trust Max 85%. I feel like that tag was intentional. That scene at the end was intentional to make us trust her maybe down to 60%, because the dialogue was intentionally cliche. Oh, we're so close to getting what we want. Obviously, they're not going to tell us what they want. That was designed for a purpose to make us doubt Max, and it did a very, very good job of that. I don't doubt her. I don't. Like Reed said, ride or die. We're in this for the long haul. But I do understand why we should doubt her, because the scene was designed to make us feel that way. It was designed to make us feel like, oh, Jason Priestley hasn't had much of a role, but I guess he's going to. And what kind of a role will he have? Will Max ultimately have to choose between the two characters by the end of the season? Will her past life conflict with her current life? I guess that's where we're going with the show. And because we know nothing about the enigma that is Max yet, I cannot wait to see where it goes. But I don't think we're going to fall too far from grace. Max is very quickly changing, although we're starting to see that she already has a lot of good in her to begin with. And if we get more of that, I'm in it for the long haul.
I will say though, I mean, even if she double crosses him, that would not bother me. Like, as someone who has a few dark ships, that would not, like Catherine Pierce is one of my favorite characters on the Vampire Diaries, and she can't be trusted at all.
Nope.
So like
Yeah.
that wouldn't necessarily bother me. Plus,
It depends
the
what it
angst.
is, right?
Yes, I think it's one of those things. Well,
I don't want it to be like so serious that I would be like taken out of it, or I'd be like, this is not redeeming to me. Like it needs to be a minor infraction.
okay. Well, so I only have two CW examples. Would it?
One I'm not speaking of, but go on.
Well, you know the one I'm thinking of. So like we won't say it aloud, but the ghost reason.
Yeah.
And then there's the one that is actually Corporal. Walker Independence. And like we wanted Abby to step on Tom. But did it take me out of the ship? No.
No. I wish we could watch that show again for the first time. There's nothing like that.
No.
So I mean, like it really just depends. I think that the writing is going to
Yeah.
really plays into that a lot. I think sometimes the way certain things are written, or just how deeply invested you are in a ship, can sort of affect the way that you see the betrayal, whatever the betrayal is. But again, this is a blue sky drama, so the betrayal probably will be light. I mean, it'll probably get as dark as that time on the White Collar when Matt Bomer's character does. I don't remember the FBI agent's name either, but I
Peter
think there's
something.
Peter. Yeah, I think there's a season ender where he tells Peter he's going to do one thing, and instead he just escapes.
He was always,
Yeah.
gosh.
But I think he chases after the girl he's been chasing after for years or something. And Peter was like,
Yeah.
no. And they had to come back from that. And that was the big betrayal. But we were all like, y'all love each other now. He's your family. You're gonna forgive
Yeah.
him, Peter.
Yeah. It took that. There wasn't that whole season when they were feuding. Oh my God, that was a lot.
Was
I
that
don't
because he
remember. I just
left?
remember there's that one season where they like hated each other, and there's like an episode where they were in a boxing ring together fighting each other. Do you remember that?
Probably
That was
lost
the season where I
over.
was like, I watched, but I was like, this isn't really, I'll be back into it when they're back together.
Was Hilly Burton in that season?
I don't remember what season it was, to be honest with you.
Okay, because I kind of
She was underused
remember
in that show, I will
she
just
was.
say.
She's fantastic in it too. They needed to use
Yeah.
her more. Not to get off track. So the as
Listen,
but
this is
yeah,
wild
I think it
card season 2
depends.
material. It's gonna happen.
Michael, if you haven't watched White Collar, it's coming to Netflix at some point this year. I don't know if it's
Oh,
internationally, but like big recommend. Just
thank
saying.
you. I will. That was on my list of shows I should have watched like a decade ago. So you know what? No time like the present. See, get some material for
I
wildcard.
think it's April it's coming. Fingers
Mark
crossed
your
it's
calendars.
international and not just US.
Me being out in the cold again. Just joking.
I think we've inadvertently entered into a if you like wild cards, watch these shows segment
Yeah.
on the podcast.
I mean, Max gave her own
Yes, you're
recommendations
right.
in the episode
Try.
Bones
Mhm.
Castle.
Castle, yeah.
Yes.
And then
And A
there's
Star
that
Is
third
Born.
one that once again we keep forgetting.
A Star Is
It's
Born, wasn't
A
it?
Star Is Born, but we're
Yes.
not including that because that's not
That's different. It's
That's for a
different.
whole different audience.
Okay, before we wrap though, is there anything else from the episode that we have yet to talk about that we need to talk about?
I can't think of anything.
I feel like we covered most bases.
I'm
Oh,
sure we could. Oh,
I want to, okay, Reed, I believe you told me this, and then somebody else on Twitter told me this too, that we will not be keeping Noah. But I would like the actor who plays Noah and Joey, but I can only care about Noah. To
Rest in
to
peace, Joey.
come.
I told you
Huh?
this?
I believe so, but it might not have been on pod. It might have been sidebar.
No, I mean, it sounds like that could have happened. I don't remember it.
Because he's on Family Law.
Yes, he
Because
has. Yes, he has.
or was it you, Michael, who
Oh.
said it? In either case, I've been informed that that he probably will not be back. But I'm manifesting an appearance. I mean, they already
That'd be a
filmed
fun
it,
recurring
but
role, wouldn't it? Sometimes you do
yes,
find that one of the victims of the pilot episode end up playing more of a recurring status throughout the season. I would like that. He seemed to have a good rapport with Max. That would be nice. I'm sure it would further her story as well.
yes, because she needs an antiquities dealer.
She does. You never know what she'll get up to.
You never know. Like, but I mean, and it's room for more jokes as well. So that's at least that's all I want. Bring back Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guest stint. It's only 10 episodes. Give us like 2 more.
Right. Yes.
I also
Goodness
just want to
gracious.
implore people to watch it because if I don't get at least 6 seasons of the show, you know,
Also, don't rest on it being co-produced by a Canadian company, y'all. That does not mean CW won't just drop the show if it doesn't work for them stateside.
yeah,
Tune in
please
every
watch.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday?
I had to think there. It's been a long time since we've done this, but yep, tune in every Wednesday night.
Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on the CW. If you miss it, it will stream on the CW app and the CWTV.com.
Feels like
Just
my
saying.
Stargirl plug. I miss doing that.
Watch the show, please. We need a
Yes.
season 2.
Yeah,
Definitely.
all seriousness, watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so entertaining. You won't regret it.
And that's it for this pod, you guys. Thank you for listening. We're the CW Spiral. I'm Sabrina.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Reed.
Bye, y'all.